subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy to be here this wonderful evening, morning. And any questions up there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy to be here. Tell me where you're watching me from. To be here. Woo. Any questions? You can ask me your questions, and I'm very happy. You see, there's a lot of floods in Nairobi tonight. You know, even the rains. You know, the rain is just too much in Nairobi right now. Wow. Any questions after that? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. I'm very happy to be here this wonderful, this wonderful morning. Tell me where you're watching me from. I am your host, Raymond Mutuku, and I'm very happy this wonderful morning. Tell me where you're watching me from. Let us continue with our streams. And you know, I realized that I saw that there's a man of God who is called Joseph Morini. Joseph Morini is in town. So, any questions up to there? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. I'm very happy to be here, and it's such a wonderful time to be here. Any questions up to there? You know, any question? I'm blessed this wonderful morning. You can tell me where you're watching me from. We've been streaming for hours and hours, and I'm very happy this morning to be here. Tell me where you're watching me from. Do you enjoy our streams? If you do, subscribe and comment. Such a wonderful, wonderful time to be here. Any questions up to there? You know, I went, any questions up to there? Tell me which part of the country you're watching me from. Welcome to this stream, and I'm very happy to be here. Any questions? Tell me where you're watching me from. And it's so amazing to be here every day. So amazing. So amazing to be here. I enjoy, reading the scripture. I enjoy stuff. Streaming to me is a way of communicating with others, because sometimes I'm far, or maybe I'm not available. So that is why I prefer, sometimes let's meet on these online platforms, because sometimes somebody is out of reach, or maybe they cannot be found. That is why it's always good to follow them online. Maybe follow them in these online platforms. So, welcome to this channel. Any questions up to there? Feel free to ask me your questions. Feel free, because I know that at the end of our read, we will learn something. Because also one of the things that I've always wanted to do was I usually get into projects because I wanted to learn something out of it, and it's such a wonderful experience. Such a wonderful experience. Any questions up to there? Feel free to be part and parcel of our live broadcast. Any questions up to there? Any questions? Any questions up to there? You can ask me your questions. Yeah. Tell me where you're watching me from. It's been raining and trust me, it's been as tough. Any questions up to there? You can ask me your questions, and I will be more than happy to answer you. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 7th of March 2026. We are just reading the scripture, and I find it to be very interesting to read, the scripture. In that process of reading, you always get, inspired by something. You always get, an idea. If you're in that place, there's, wow, I'm very sleepy, very sleepy. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any suggestions? Any comments? Any questions? I want to now to relax. guys. Ooh, guys. If you're new to this channel, be part and parcel of our channel, and tell me where you're watching me from. Tell me where you're watching me from, and such a wonderful time. Such a wonderful time. Any questions? Just give me a minute. Yeah. So welcome to this channel. I'm very happy. It is 5:16 a.m. I'm very happy to be here. As we work around the clock. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment and tell me where you're watching me. Where you're watching me. And I enjoy. We also work around the clock. The whole time. The whole time. Oh my goodness. Okay. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah. in Kenya, when you tell somebody that, you know what, you're supposed to work around the clock, say, oh, you know, that is slavery. But I think if you ask me, I say work ethic. You know, some people say, oh, that is slavery. But I think, unfortunately, in Kenya, we don't have a very good work ethic. Most people like complaining. Oh, you know, oh, these guys, that is slavery. That is not slavery. That is not slavery. That is not slavery at all. But in Kenya, we have this, concept that, you have to, you have to do this and this and this. So that is not true. Yeah? That is not true. Why should you be you see, according to me and according to my school of thought, there are times in your life where you have to work like 24 hours, a few years in your life. There's that time period. And then, so the people who prefer say, oh, you know, I cannot work 24 hours. Oh, you know. Oh, it's slavery. But trust me, you have to be very tough. You have to be very, very tough. Some of your dreams can only be achieved if you have a very tough personality. If you're very tough and very competitive personality, are we together? Some of these dreams that people have, you can only achieve them when you have a very tough a very tough personality, which is not bad, if you ask me. It's really bad, as long as any questions up to there, feel free to be part of this program. And I enjoy being here. And I know, in Nairobi now it's flooding, and I wanted to travel to Nairobi today. Lakini, it's flooding everywhere. It's flooding everywhere. I decided not to go. I decided not to go because it would be very expensive for me. Any questions up to that? If you're new to this channel, subscribe and comment. Tell me where you're watching me from. And I enjoy being here. Any questions? I've been listening to what Ndindi Nyoro has been saying, and it's very interesting. I've been enjoying, what he has been saying, and he's saying, he's saying that there's a lot of scam. Can you hear what Ndindi Nyoro is saying? He's a very interesting guy. Very interesting.
In the invisible. Sometimes as leaders we can lie to ourselves too much. And we imagine that lying is now a currency.
That is Ndindi Nyoro.
The way you can just lie to yourself, and you lie to yourself, this is white. And you write it as white. We recently had the Kenya By the time the IPO was to be closed, it was less than 5% subscribed.
Okay.
So the government extended by a few days. In those few days, Kenya begged Uganda, Museveni, to come and put in money. That was not market driven. But Museveni, because he's experienced and he's looking for the welfare of Ugandans more than our leaders are looking after the welfare of Kenyans.
Okay.
Museveni gave two solid conditions. One, that he be given two board members. But number two, that he holds veto power on appointment of CEO of Kenya Pipeline. And the Kenya government granted Museveni and Uganda that request. So Ugandans did buy KPC shares. Ugandans were buying control of Kenya Pipeline because of the nature of their being landlocked and the need for fuel. The second thing, and I said it last week on Wednesday, and anyone who would want to challenge me, they can come with their evidence, and I'll come with my evidence.
Okay.
The IPO subscription by the closure was below 5%. Ugandans came with 21, they got 21%. This other one, you are seeing the government reporting yesterday.
Yes.
That there is a 41% percentage bought by local companies. These are not local companies. These are government affiliated companies. It is becoming a very bad trend. But the number one trustee of NSSF are not the trustees we know, but the phone calls they are receiving from high offices. And I want to tell NSSF, anything you cannot do with your own money, do not put workers' money in suboptimal investments.
Okay, how is this suboptimal?
The CEO of NSSF and the trustees, I contribute to NSSF because my salary is cut. If you cannot invest your own money in the Kenya pipeline, do not put my money into that suboptimal investment.
And how is Kenya pipeline suboptimal?
Because now we want to turn NSSF into a wallet of big offices.
How is Kenya
They
pipeline
know
suboptimal?
there is workers' money, put there. They put in money for Talanta Board. Workers kept quiet. They have been putting in money for these suboptimal decisions that the government is floating to them, which the commercial side of our economy is not taking, and they are receptive. I want to request NSSF, and the superannuation fund. You Kenyans who are sitting in those offices, where you cannot put your money, it is not right to put workers' money in those areas. So the 41% the government is putting at the companies, it is NSSF, it is superannuation fund, it is Kenya Re, KCB were being ensnared. I hope they refused.
KCB.
And some other companies with only one rider, all being controlled by government. So you cannot come and tell Kenyans and lie to Kenyans. We had an IPO which was 1 of 5 oversubscribed. It is the focus that were made on Tuesday afternoon by you yourself who know yourself. You call the CEOs of these banks, instructing them to invest workers' money. And if I am wrong, let them come with minutes of the directors' meetings passing those investments, because there is none. And they want to meet and backdate. Kenya Insurance Company, there are other 40% Kenyans who own Kenya shares. You cannot continue to be dancing on the tunes of the political actors. It's either you run Kenya as a commercial entity, or then you fold it to become a pure parastatal, and then you run it through phone calls. NSSF, if you want to run NSSF through the whims of politics, then the trustees put in your money in there, wachana na pesa ya wafanyikazi, wekeza pahali kama hiyo.
All right.
It is very wrong in a market where we have already done our math here. this hall is full of CPAs, that you have seen the P ratio of a company of 22. There is the P ratio of a company at 5, another one at below 2, and then some people take in workers because hawana peni ya pesa ya workers. Na wamepigiwa simu, wanapeleka mabilioni ya workers mahali ambapo pesa haitarudi. If Kenya's money, the workers, ever miss to get their resources from NSSF, they will blame the phone calls that were made on Tuesday afternoon to the CEO of NSSF, to the CEO of Superannuation Fund, to the CEO of Kenya Re, and to the CEO of the other entities, which you are going to see when the real results of KPC are out, and which will show specific companies.
All right.
I mean, AI can now build a website in 90 seconds, while the only AI most people over 40 know is ChatGPT. What should they do then? Is it
It is not right. Tunakuja tunasikia hapa Kenya, 105 hour subscription, iko happy. The money we are purporting is actually also not being paid, and has not been paid. NSSF, we are only forced to give an undertaking. Even Superannuation Fund, there is no money that has hit the accounts of the receiving banks. It is commitments. Because there was no IPO. Don't tell Kenyans there was an IPO of Kenya Pipeline. This was a private placement. Only 2% of Kenyans bought the shares. Because they knew there was political interference even in pricing.
There's political
The
interference.
transaction advisor of this transaction is not the company that you saw. It is a phone call. They were told the last day they were to price Kenya Pipeline at a different price. Wakapigiwa simu, wakaambiwa jaribuni hii 163. Now we are running our capital markets through whips.
That's very interesting.
Tunaona sasa political actors. We have no powers to dictate even what happens.
Oh, okay. I was listening to this guy called. Let's listen.
Sometimes as leaders we can lie to ourselves too much. And we imagine that lying is not. The CEO of NSSF, to the CEO of Superannuation Fund, to the CEO of Kenya Re, and to the CEO of the other entities, which you are going to see when the real results of KPC are out, and which will show specific companies.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm listening to this guy called Ndindi Nyoro. And Ndindi Nyoro has been talking about the IPO of Kenya Pipeline, the Kenya Pipeline IPO, which they're claiming that it was oversubscribed, 112 billion shillings. But he says that is a stock manipulation. The 112 billion shillings is not money from Kenyans. No, it's money from NSSF and Kenya Re. These are a few CEOs who are called, and they were told to invest in Kenya Pipeline. And according to Ndindi Nyoro, he claims that Kenya Pipeline is a suboptimal company. Wow. And it's very interesting to hear some of the things that he's been saying. Let's continue hearing what he's saying. And I'm sure, let's continue hearing.
It is not right. Tunakuja tunasikia hapa Kenya, 105 hour subscription, iko happy. The money we are purporting is actually also not being paid and has not been paid. NSSF, we are only forced to give an undertaking.
Why?
Even Superannuation Fund, there is no money that has hit the accounts of the receiving banks. It is commitments. Because there was no IPO. Don't tell Kenyans there was an IPO of Kenya Pipeline. This was a private placement. Only 2% of Kenyans bought the shares. Because they knew there was political interference even in pricing. The transaction advisor of this transaction is not the company that you saw. It is a phone call.
Only 2%.
The last day.
Wow.
They were to price Kenya Pipeline at a different price.
So, ladies and gentlemen, according to Ndindi Nyoro, he's saying that whatever they're claiming in Kenya Pipeline is a lie. You know, there was no 100%, they're saying 105% subscription. It's a lie. You know, it's only 2% of Kenyans who bought in. Let's listen to him. You know? Now we are
running our capital markets through whips. That now, tunaona sasa political actors. We have no powers to dictate even what happens in the Nairobi Securities Exchange.
That's not right.
Let us get ourselves off the market.
Yeah.
Because the NSC is the platform of capital flow. If we put in politics into the valuation of companies,
yes,
into investments, especially of workers' resources,
correct,
it will be wrong.
Yeah.
And if it's money they wanted, you don't need to force a company like Kenyari to buy. Kenyari has already 41 billion Kenya shillings in cash and cash equivalent. And the government holds 60% of the company. You would have just told Kenya Re to pay a special dividend, and you get government without necessarily forcing Kenya Re, which is 40 owned by ordinary, normal, innocent Kenyans, to invest into a sham.
Oh my God. I was listening. Oh my God, I've been listening to Ndindi Nyoro, and he's saying that, you know, the IPO of Kenya Pipeline is a sham. I can't believe it. Why is he saying that? Oh, so interesting, so interesting. If you're new to this channel, be part of our we're reading, you know. Be part of our streams, be part of our reading. I enjoy reading. Do you enjoy reading? I do enjoy reading. And any questions up to there?
You know, sometimes as leaders we can lie to ourselves too much. And we imagine that lying is now a currency. You know, the way you can just lie to yourself, and you lie to yourself, this is white.
Yeah.
And you write it as white. We recently.
So I've been enjoying some of this stuff of Ndindi Nyoro. Very interesting guy. You know, any questions? You can ask me your questions. Tell me where you're watching me from. Be part and parcel of our channel. Be part of this channel. I enjoy. Be part of our channel. I enjoy streams. I wanted to go to Nairobi, but it's raining, so I cannot even go. I wanted to travel right now to Nairobi, but it's raining. I can't go. So according to Ndindi Nyoro, the IPO of Kenya Pipeline, according to him, it's a sham. You know, the government is claiming that there is 105% subscription, which is not true. Like the public, you see, in an IPO, they say the public only owns 2% of the IPO, but the rest is owned by Uganda. You know, the Museveni has bought into Kenya Pipeline. Museveni, he has infiltrated our companies. because Uganda is a landlocked country. They don't have direct access to oil. So he was an interested party in this initial public offer. Now they're being exposed by Ndindi Nyoro. It's been very interesting, He says that, companies were bullied into buying the shares, NSSF. This is money to the workers of this country. We're talking about Kenya Re. We're talking about where there's a pool of finance, they would force the companies to buy. They forced those companies in buying the shares of Kenya Pipeline. So this 105% of a subscription is just to hoodwink the unsuspecting Kenyan, unfortunately. But you see, that kind of information is not available to everybody unless you read Business Daily like me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I really I have to go. Subscribe, all right? Be part of our streams. We'll meet tomorrow, same time, same place. Arrivederci.